I could see an argument to be made about how throughout Yeat's career, especially his early career, the drugs had a huge hand, like a huge help. And obviously, like, that's not even up for debate. Everyone knows that. But it's not just in the process of making the songs. Like, oh yeah, there's nothing good about like being extremely addicted to drugs where you're on them all the time, even when you're not supposed to be on them, you know? But I've seen a lot of guys where they get high, they make a song, and then they're sober when they're ready to release the song. And then they're like, I'm not feeling the song anymore, you know? But if you stay high, if you just live high, and you're like, oh, fuck with this song, even though it's probably not that good, and you still choose to put it out, because that's what a good artist does. That's what a great artist does, actually, is if it's worth doing badly as well. And they're still equally as high, so they're listening to the song back as they're releasing it, and they choose to release it rather than holding it back. There can be an argument to be made there of like, oh, that's a huge benefit actually. If you don't release your music when you personally enjoy it, you'll never release your music. A man never steps foot in the same river twice, because it's not the same river and he's not the same man. It's that whole idea of double inflation. It's not only do you change, but not only does the industry change, but you change as well. It's like the sweet spot of familiarity and spontaneity that you can have in songs gets spoiled over time, and the tastes of people changes. So it's not just things shrink, things diminish, things no longer have that magic over time, but the route that the music industry is going to take to then dictate what is the new familiar and what is the new spontaneous based off of those branches is unpredictable. And I said this every single time. I would say to artists, I'm like, you're going to evolve as an artist. And the songs that you like right now, you won't like in the future. And I would tell them this, and they wouldn't release it. And we'd hear the song a million times in the car, and we show it to people. We show it to the Uber driver who's taking us from here to here. We show it to this guy, show it to that person, show it to a million people. Everyone's like, oh, this is sick. Never released it. 6 months go by, and I look at the previous like 6 songs that he has in the project that was like, oh, we were planning on maybe adding a few more songs, making some videos for it, and gonna release this as a project. And I'm like, I ask him, I'm like, it's a rhetorical question. I'm like, do you even want to release this anymore? And maybe he's holding out hope that like, oh, it'll get better again, and I'll see the magic in it again. But no, you don't. And then when I confronted him about that, that was like his final acceptance of like, oh, okay, yeah, nah, these songs are dead. And we didn't hear those songs. He never played those songs again in the car that we were planning on making a project with. And it's crazy because it's like, these are tests. These are tests. There's not like a, oh, you just experience the industry, you just let the industry happen to you, and eventually things will just work out. No. If you don't take this opportunity, not only will you miss it, you will crush your future opportunities. Because you can interpret the situation in one of two ways. You can interpret it as, I am creating a form of self-expression, and it deserves to be out there simply because there's a possibility that someone can get something from me expressing my most honest and authentic self, and I can use that as fuel to continue to grow my own character, to offer them more so that they can offer me more, so that I can offer them more so they can offer me more, and we can create works of art that we never even could have imagined right now, because the process of me growing, helping them helping me, in this feedback loop that we create of innovation and new sound, new music, you know, new artistry. You can interpret it as that. You can interpret it as, I need to do it, I need to start putting out my music when I actually enjoy it. Or you can interpret it as, oh, well, that stuff just wasn't that good. And I see this happening right now with Faiz, because he has a bunch of t-shirt ideas and like hoodie ideas and all that, like prints for clothing for his fashion brand, and he keeps making new stuff and not dropping the old stuff. And for the new stuff he makes, it's genuinely so much better. It's so much better than his old stuff that he's like, I don't want to release that old stuff anymore. And I see him going down the path, potentially, it's a tricky path. It's not like an insult to him. It's like everyone will struggle with this. And I had my struggles with this when I was a kid too, with YouTube videos. But this is why I would give people advice, because I went through that struggle, and I'm telling you what to do. It's so odd. Like, if you don't want to listen to yourself, listen to me. Because there could be a subconscious thought that pops into his brain, which is like, oh yeah, but I'm not feeling these designs, so maybe I'll make more designs in the future and I won't release these. And you'll never be satisfied. You will never be satisfied, because it will never be perfect. If you interpret it wrong, the idea, like you make a few songs, you're a year, 2 years, 3 years into making music, and the first few songs you made that you were planning on releasing, you don't want to release anymore. If you interpret that wrong, it's not a neutral thing. It will crush you. It will destroy your ability to make it in the music industry in the future. It will cause you to waste a decade of your life on music and do nothing with it. It's not like, oh, it's just okay, or just a small hit. It's like, oh, learn from failure, make mistakes. No, don't fail here. Don't fail. Don't make the wrong decision. Do the right thing and release your music. You know the one of the 7 deadly sins, sloth? This is what that sin means. That sin, in its like purest form, means not chasing your dreams, refusing to chase your dreams, letting other things get in the way of it, like insecurity or, oh, I don't know how people will like it or not. No, it's a sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins to do that. The music industry is a moving train, okay? And you'll never see the same train car twice. You'll never have the same adventure twice. You'll never look at a train car that someone else went on and go like, "Ooh, that's a cool experience. I want that. Let me wait for it to come back around." It's never going to come back around. A man never steps in the same river twice. You either get on or you give it up. People might think, "Oh, in the future, and oh, you never know what might happen. Oh, it's just," but there's always exceptions to the rule. Yeah, there's always exceptions to the rule. But I'm telling you from personal experience, from what I saw, from all the artists that I talked to in this entire city and everywhere else, if you don't consistently release your music when it's at its best, which is, from what I've seen, usually like a week after it's made, you'll never release your music. You'll never release the music in the way that you're supposed to, and you will never make it in the industry, and you will never get what you deserve, or what you think you deserve, but really you don't, because you're not releasing music, and you will never become the kind of person that you could be and have the, like, satisfy the great potential that you could have. What will be your identity then, huh? A Kevin Holland, like, oh, I don't really care about the championship belt. I just fight just for money, you know? Just to have an excuse, so that way people can't call you a bad fighter. People respect bad fighters more than fighters who don't try. You're laying on your deathbed, you're thinking about it, and you're going, well, I mean, I wasn't trying. If I really tried, I could have made it, but I didn't care. I didn't bother to try, you know? When little kids are playing a game, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, this time I'm gonna try. When are you gonna try, actually? And that's worse than being bad at something, because it means that not even you had confidence that you were ever any good. It's like other people judging you as not good, and you thinking you're good. That's one thing, especially when everybody actually thinks you're good. But even when you don't have any confidence that you're good, and you go, oh, I wasn't even trying in that song, guys. I didn't even try to make it in the industry. If I would have done this, then I totally would have made it, but I didn't even bother, you know? Really? That's what you want as your legacy? I can't relate. And I don't even want to be insulting. Honestly, I don't want to be insulting. Like, I've matured and grown enough to where it's like, maybe some people can live their lives like that. And I will sound insulting, because it's frustrating when you can't have everyone in society be like this. You need at least some subsection of people that's actually like being a support for everybody else. And you can have the ideal where it's like 100% of people are creating more than they consume. That's never going to happen. But you can't have people encouraging and going like, yeah, it's good to live a life of consumption. And they make excuses for it, and they just live like an animal, like a generator, you know? Just like go out and make money, consume, eat, go back home, sit on the couch, watch something, get back to work, work, eat, just consuming to consume to consume. You're just a part of the cycle, and then you die. And I know I sound like frustrated, but I know I shouldn't be, because most people throughout human history have lived their lives like this. I don't think there's anything morally wrong or whatever. I don't think it's a sin if girls live their lives like this. I've seen a lot of great women who have lived their entire lives just consuming, not creating anything. I think that's totally fine. I don't think it's like a biological responsibility so long as guys are doing it, but not even all guys need to do it. I think maybe 5% of the population needs to be artists. 5% of the population needs to be creators who create more than they consume, because with just that 5%, one person can have the creative output in whatever field that they're in creating like food, like agriculture or whatever, like in any field that supports other human beings and their time and their consumption. One person can have the output of 20 people nowadays with technology. And maybe most people Most people are just going to be okay with that. Most people are just going to be okay with just being a consumer, just sitting back and doing nothing and taking the path of least resistance and like just consuming. I just can't. I can't understand it that well. I can't live my life like that, bro. I need to be. I need to be doing something. I need to be more. I need to look at myself a certain type of way. I need to have a reputation to myself in my own mind, not for others. And I can't even be mad at these people. It's like we're just different. People are different. Understandable. It's just frustrating that it took me so long, so many years. I realized this a while ago, but it took me so many years to realize, like, oh, people are not like me, you know? If you give people the option, yeah, never make music again, but, live an easy life and have a bunch of passive income and then just sit on your ass all day, like, these people who call themselves musicians who say, oh, I want to be the next this guy, I want to be the next this guy, I want to change the game, I want to do all this, they'll take that deal. And the reason why you're seeing me as like extremely frustrated with it is because it's like I've wasted so much of my time and my life on these people who just don't release their music, who are not true artists, who just pretend, you know? It's like, bro, just stop pretending. Like, bro, if you would take a record deal to make a bunch of money and do all this stuff and you want to work with artists who are big names rather than people you have good synergy with and you don't have like a soul, right? You're willing to sell out. You're willing to do whatever it takes to make it big because you want an easy life, not a great life, not a difficult life, right? You want to make it in the industry to make a bunch of money rather than making a bunch of money to make it in the industry to change the game, to do something great, to have the opportunity to push yourself, to do the job, to get it done the way other people haven't. You want something done right, you got to do it yourself. You look at the industry and you go like, this is a problem. I want to fix it. I feel like I can be an incredible force for positive change on the industry. If you don't have that inclination, go do something else, bro. Stop wasting people's times.